Hello, my name is Jay from BroGaming, and you're watching Deck Garage. Hello everyone, this is Jay from BroGaming TCG, and today on Deck Garage we are looking at Darkrai-EX. This is a user-requested deck profile, so if you want any decks to be made, leave your suggestion in the comments below, and I may just pick one to do a deck profile on. Anyways, let's get into the deck profile. First up, we are playing 4 Darkrai-EX in this deck. Obviously, it's a Darkrai deck, you're going to be playing Darkrai Plus. This is the Turbo variant, so we're going to be playing 4. This allows us to have enough Darkrai that you never feel like you really have to search for one, and you could possibly play 3, but that really limits the amount of useful energy that you can be playing on the field, and that's the name of the game, is to get as much energy on the field as you possibly can to power up Darkrai's attack. So next we are playing 3 Yveltal. I believe we all know why this is here. It's for pretty obvious reasons. Basically, Yveltal's Oblivion Wing will help with getting those darkness energies out of the discard pile and onto the field, powering up Darkrai's attack. He's a secondary attacker, which allows us to throw him in the active, use his Oblivion Wing attack, get a little bit of damage off, and get some energy on the field. We are also playing 2 Tapu Lele to allow us to search for our supporters, and if we need to use her as an attacker, we can certainly do so. And this is something that I believe a lot of people gloss over. Tapu Lele just isn't in this deck to search out a supporter, but also is as an energy bank. Her attack requires 2 colorless energy, same as Darkrai's, and it does quite a bit of damage if you can get it built up. So Tapu Lele definitely isn't in this deck just as something to search out a supporter. She's also there to attach energy to, and if worse comes to worse, use as an attacker. Now, for a little bit of a tech card, we are teching in 1 Sudowoodo from Guardians Rising for multiple reasons. I've seen quite a few Darkrai decks recently been playing Sudowoodo in them and have done really well with this tech. Sudowoodo stops benches from getting out of control by limiting your opponent's bench space to 4. This counters any deck that needs Pokemon on the bench. So it really controls how much power your opponent can put out and limits the type of decks like Mega Rayquaza, now moving into Gardevoir GX, and allows Darkrai to overpower them. Now, Sudowoodo isn't just good for those occasions, it's also good for matches that don't use more than 5 bench space, that just, use the regular 5 bench spaces, because it takes 1 away. And even losing 1 bench space can really throw off your opponent's game, can really mess with their mind. So, moving on to trainers, we are going to see a lot of 4 lines, with the Verse Seeker leaving the format, and this deck profile being for the future of the game post-August 2018 rotation. We are going to be using some full lines of some important supporters to make this a consistent deck. Starting off, we're playing 4 Altar of the Moon, allowing for some free retreat for Darkrai and any other Pokemon, as long as we have dark energy attached to them. So basically, Altar of the Moon's effect is if you have a darkness energy attached to your Pokemon, its retreat cost is reduced by 2. Well, seeing how Darkrai has 2, Tapu Lele has 2, Sudowoodo has 2, and Yveltal has 2, basically 1 dark energy will allow us to grab free retreat on any of our Pokemon. We are playing 4 Professor Sycamore. It will add some draw power, and which this deck is a little lacking of because we don't have any Pokemon to add draw power. 4N for some obvious reasons, and because Sycamore isn't always the best choice. 4 Ultra Balls to get unwanted darkness energy out of our hand and trade it in for a Lele, Darkrai, or another Pokemon. 4 Max Elixir to speed up the attachment of energy and add Turbo to the name. 4 Choice Band to help with powering up Darkrai and make it a little easier to one-hit KO those Pokemon. Choice Band is going to be adding 30 more damage to Darkrai when we are attacking a GX or EX Pokemon. Now, 4 XP share, obviously, because we want to keep that energy in play. You can only attach 1 energy from your hand a turn, and with only 4 Max Elixir to speed up the deck, we're going to need these. All Darkrai decks need that XP share to keep the energy on the field. We definitely don't want to be losing that the energy once it's on the field, so EXP share will hopefully stay on the field and keep our energy on the field. Now we are losing Lysander, so we are going to be playing 4 Guzma, and honestly I think Guzma works better in this deck anyways, which you can voice your opinion in the comment section below. A lot of people like Lysander and don't like Guzma, but I actually I enjoy Guzma's ability. So you can easily switch between your Pokemon and throw your opponent's game off with this card. If Darkrai is taking too much damage, you can easily switch to a different one. If you need Yavato out in the active, you can easily switch to it as well, all while really upsetting your opponent because they have to switch their Pokemon as well, which I know you can't take as many prize cards this way because they could easily switch into a Pokemon fully with full energy, ready to attack, full HP, but you're going to be switching into a Darkrai with darkness energy on it and keeping your other Darkrai alive or Yavato or whatever was in the active. So you could easily be one-hit KOing their Pokemon. Guzma hopefully will work really nice in this deck. Now, we are going to be playing 1 Rescue Stretcher only because if you're going to need it, you're really going to need it. Otherwise, you won't really use this card. But it's a really nice card to have in the deck because of quick knockouts at the beginning of the game. And if you don't have any other Pokemon that can stall or do damage out, you can reach in and grab a Pokemon easily. You can easily grab a Darkrai out of there. You can grab a Yavato out of there, a Tapu Lele. Anything that you need, you can grab it, put it into your hand. Easy as that. Rescue Stretcher is going to be a great card just to have as a tech in this deck. Now, the final 2 trainers are going to be a little of an odd pick. 2 Field Blowers to knock off your opponent's Pokemon tools. Now, Darkrai is going to be really hard to play in this upcoming format because of this card specifically. And if you hit a mirror match, you're going to want this card because it's going to make that mirror match a lot easier. Also, most decks are using this card and Pokemon tools as well. So if you're running this card, it will hopefully even the playing field up a little bit and allow you to knock off their Pokemon tool cards when they're knocking off your EXP shares. So that's going to round up the trainer cards, and we're going to move on to energies. Now you're like, man, there's 15 cards left in this deck. Yep, we're playing 15 darkness energies, and I know that's a lot of energies, and the reason is because this is Turbo Darkrai, and it's we don't have Giratina. Giratina is most likely going to get rotated out, so we don't have Double Dragon Energy. And we have Field Blower. Field Blower is going to knock off those EXP shares, so losing those 2 energies when a Darkrai is knocked out is going to be really detrimental. So 15 energies is going to make that not hit as bad because we're going to have energy in our deck always. Plus, your max elixirs are pretty much going to hit 90% of the time because 15 out of 60 cards, I mean, you're going to have a pretty decent chance of hitting for those energies, but 15 darkness energies also allows more energies to be able to get prized up, which is a downfall to running so many energies. Anyways, definitely leave your comments and opinions on should this deck run more or less energies. I've seen quite a few decks run this much energy and do fairly well. Now, moving on to the matchups, which is a section of which is only in deck battles. So if this section of the video definitely looks at some, not all, some standard decks that this card may have trouble with or may just totally obliterate. So the first matchup that I want to be talking about is Sylveon Garbodor. While Sylveon alone is not a problem, Garbodor is. So if you run them into a full Sylveon deck, which is just running Sylveon deck, I would say that's not going to be a problem for you. But if it's running Garbodor, or if you run up into a Garbodor deck, it's going to be a problem for you because these decks use Field Blower. And Field Blower is going to be the Pokemon tool card that is your bane. So it's basically going to knock off those EXP shares, choice bands, whatever you have on the field, and throw them into the discard pile, allowing Garbodor to power up his attack, which is not good. And you're like, oh, well, that's not a big deal. Plus, if I only have 1 EXP share down, I have 3 more in the deck. But, not only are you going to be using your EXP shares and choice bands and getting Field Blowered, you're running 17 item cards in this deck, which is fairly high. Now, I know a lot of decks run 18 to 20 item cards in their deck, but 17 in this deck is even worse because you're going to be using them extremely quickly. You're going to be using those Ultra Balls to really get out. You're going to be placing those EXP shares down on the field, choice bands to power up Darkrai. You have rescue stretcher. You also have max elixir, which is going to be used fairly quickly just about every time you get one and thrown into the discard pile. And there's no way to get those out. So you're definitely going to be having to be wary of Sylveon, Garbodor, and Garbodor. So the second matchup, though, is a little bit less intense. It is Volcanion. Volcanion only seems to be getting better, and well, Turbo Darkrai it used to beat it. Will it beat it now is the question. Well, it kind of depends. Volcanion is a slower deck, which is debatable with Kawaii coming into the format. So basically the only way to beat Volcanion is to outspeed it, because Volcanion is going to be able to outpower you. But then there's Turtonator. Turtonator is going to be a hard Pokemon to get around because it can do some pretty big damage to Darkrai. And Darkrai, with only 100 HP, is going to be something that's going to be easily knocked out by Volcanion or Turtonator. So once again, you got to find a way around that Turtonator. You got to outspeed Volcanion. It's not going to be an easy matchup, but it is something that's not hopeless. You can beat Volcanion. So next up, a Gardevoir GX, and obviously this deck relies on bench space, and Sudowoodo is going to do a nice job of countering that. Gardevoir is also going to be a tough deck to play. It's not going to be the easiest deck to play, and who knows if Gardevoir GX is even going to be a big deck in standard format. We don't know yet. But Darkrai will definitely outspeed it, basically because you can put a lot more energy down on the field than they can, and it's going to result in a win for Darkrai. Now, by all means, this isn't an instant win. You can get beat by Gardevoir GX, but it's not as hard as a matchup about the last two that I talked about. It's not as hard as the Garbodor, the Sylveon, or the Volcanion. So, moving on, we have Drampa GX as well. Drampa GX kind of came into existence and has been doing really well. It's also ran with Garbodor. It can be ran with Garbodor. And if it's run with Garbodor, once again, you're going to be like, oh, this is not a good matchup for me. But Drampa GX alone also runs Field Blower, so it's going to have that to contend with, So really, Drampa GX is going to be a power game. So they both have the same HP, 180, and they can both one-hit KO each other. Drampa can one-hit KO. It has to have a choice band on it, though. Remember that, Drampa does have to have the choice band on to one-hit KO Darkrai, while Darkrai can just power up to 180 and get that knockout. But with choice band, it's going to make it a little easier. You're only going to have to power up to 150. That's still a lot of energy on the field for Darkrai, and keeping that much energy on the field may be hard. So Drampa is going to be a really pretty much even match all around. It's going to be a prize battle, and I wish you all the best luck in that going up against Drampa GX. So that's all I have for you today. I really couldn't think of any more matchups that you really don't know about, because Turbo Darkrai has been a big impact in the game since it came out. So a lot of you probably already know about most of the matchups, and if not, you can always, find them somewhere else. But I want to definitely thank you all for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like to show some support, and if you enjoyed the video. Also, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below or in the end cards at the end of this video. It is always appreciated. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. This has been Jay from BroGaming TCG, and I want to remind you all to always keep on battling and pursue your dreams.